following AOR livestream is brought to you by the following sponsors: Elgato Gaming, Hype Energy Drinks, GT Omega Racing and Thrustmaster. Make sure to check them out in the description below after the race. Hello and welcome to Apex Online Racing for yet more live coverage of the Hype Energy F1 2018 League. We are now more than just over the halfway point in the season for Season 16, and here on F2 the excitement continues tonight with round 12 from the Hungaro ring for the Hungarian Grand Prix. The tight and twisty track just outside the capital of Budapest has hosted races since its debut in 1986 when F1 ventured across the Iron Curtain for the first time. Despite its tight nature and difficulty to overtake, the track is a favourite with many drivers and also many fans. Nelson Piquet won the first race in 1986 and many drivers have took their debut win in F1 here, and we'll see who adds their name to the honours list tonight. Hockenheim last week seen Ruben make a perfect strategy call and race moves to make his first victory of the season. But the big news tonight is that championship leader Sean is absent due to a race ban after a stewards incident from last week's race. Can the chasing pack make any moves to catch up with the Ferrari driver here tonight? My name is Andy, and joining me in the commentary box as always on a Sunday night is Ollie. Ollie, it is going to be a very interesting race tonight. Strategy could be more important than anything. How do you see this one going, especially with Sean not being here?
Yes, hello everyone. Hungary is looking like it's going to create some exciting racing. We of course know the main overtaking area. So one thing I want to keep a very close eye on is the fact that people will be setting up with straight lines in mind. Low front wings could be difficult to overtake. If you can't overtake down the start-finish straight, it could be tough for drivers to watch out for today's Grand Prix. The H-Eagle is the man who's closest to Sean in the championship, but keep a close eye on Tactician and Casper in the Red Bull and Toro Rosso respectively as they look to push their way forward. We've got 19 drivers here, 4 reserves have shown up, and as mentioned of course that one man missing, that would be our championship leader, who is not here this evening. It should be interesting. We've got some good guys out there on track. It should be a nice tight qualifying. Obviously many people regard this as Monaco without the barriers, so we could have some very close battles, and overtaking is going to have to be crucial. Going into turn 2 around the outside, which will turn to the inside, is probably a really unorthodox manoeuvre that some drivers like to adapt. We could see some very late manoeuvres throughout the middle sector. The final sector is where they're all going to bunch up, and getting that exit out the final turn could be crucial this afternoon. It's going to be a long one. It's going to be a tough one. I believe it's 35 laps we have ahead of us. Lee Findlay is somebody I want to keep a close eye on because I believe he has a very good shout. He showed some good consistency recently. But can the chasing pack take advantage? That's the big question.
Definitely so, and the strategy tonight as well is going to be interesting too, because you've got the ultra soft, the softs and the medium, so you've got a two-step between the soft tyre and the ultra soft, missing out the super soft, so that's going to make it very interesting as well. Drivers out at the moment are either on ultra soft or medium tyres, and we're riding on board with that man you're just talking about there, Lee Findlay, coming round the final corner. We're going to take a fast lap here at the Hungaro ring, down the front straight, one of 2 DRS zones. There's a car coming out of pit lane, keeping out of the way, and just after the 100 metre point, hard on the brakes, down to third gear, down to second briefly, and then back on the power, DRS open one more time, heading down towards turn 2, and again on the brakes, around about 100 metres roughly, third gear one more time, and then just ease the power on, flat out through turn 3 there, and then coming up the hill. And this corner is absolutely amazing here, pretty much flat out, you drop a gear quickly and then put your foot back down, and then through the tight right-hander, coming up to the top of the track at the top of the hill, and then into the chicane here. You've got to be very careful you catch those sausage curves exactly like Lee's done there. You can push yourself wide, and then into this tricky section you really just want to get on the power through here, and Lee's showing exactly what can happen. You can run wide, and then this corner, the right-hander is extremely fast indeed, around about 140, 150 miles an hour, and then coming towards the end of the lap, down to third gear, right-hander, and then run to the last 2 corners here. Tricky left-hander again, you want to get on the power a bit earlier than you need to, and then into the final turn, which is turn 14, and Lee's taking it wide so he can take another lap here. And I've seen during the week Casper hit the inside of that wall where the pit lane is, so you need to be careful of that. Lee goes into second, it's a 19.6 VP Vettel Racer, though, is the initial provisional pole sitter, a 1 minute 17.1.
Yeah, interesting enough there. We're going to be looking at Lee Findlay. It didn't look like he was pushing to the maximum, but he is on the medium tyres, and you can see the pace difference between the Ultra Softs and the mediums. So Datnek has also gone out on the Ultras, and he has set the fastest time now, a 1 minute 17 dead. Should be a close one between these drivers. I'm looking at the mediums as probably the best tyres to be starting on, but the softs are also equally good. The guys starting on the Ultra Softs are pretty much setting themselves up for a two-stop strategy, or they're hoping for a safety car or a VSC at some point to give them a free pit stop or an elongation of their tyres. It's very interesting. The Ultra Soft choice around here is a strange one because of how little they last. On Wednesday I saw some of the guys racing, and they were pretty much doing around about 4, maybe 5 laps on them tyres, and it's a real struggle to see what they're able to do. It's a long old, it doesn't feel like it, but it's a very long lap for them tyres, because the first and final 3 corners are pretty much identical in their nature, and they are killers for them tyres. They seem to just grind them out, and they're so difficult to keep a hold of. Lee Findlay improves though and goes 1/10 off the pole side, as McGrady then improves to go over 1 minute 16.8. It's very tight at the moment. The fastest lap is on the mediums, but you'd imagine that these guys are all sandbagging at the moment, because it doesn't look like they're all pushing 100%.
Definitely so. With 12.5 minutes to go, there's still plenty of time, and as you say, anyone starting on the Ultrasoft will be hoping for a safety car, whereas the ideal strategy around here is soft to medium or medium to soft, so it is definitely one of those tracks. Current provisional pole sitter though is this man in the Renault. It is one of the new reserves for the Formula 2 League here. It is Ayamote is how we've decided we're going to pronounce this one just before coming on air. So he's jumped in to the second Renault alongside Blizzard here tonight. Datnek, as you mentioned, he's in the pits at the moment. He's another one who has joined as a reserve as well. Leclerc, who we're starting to see as being a bit of a regular now, but he is still technically a reserve, I think. He's jumped into Sean's Ferrari for tonight, and AZR Danny in the other Williams. He was there last week for Hockenheim, but he got dropped out the lobby during qualifying, couldn't get back in, so couldn't take part in the race, so you'll be hoping for better luck tonight. And then the last one in the Haas, replacing that'll be Vettel Racer. No, Vettel Racer is there. It'll be McGrady is on. I don't know. He's the other Haas driver anyway. Is Jogler. So we've got a few reserves in tonight. So a few drivers we don't know very much about, and it'll be interesting to see how they go during the race. As that's Nico, who's currently P2, keeping out of the way, having got on the grass there through Sector 1. That's what the yellow flag was. But it is Nico in second at the moment. Ultrasofts for Ayamote in provisional pole at the moment. Nico in second, just under a 10th off. McGrady exactly a 10th off a pole, and then Datnek is in fourth, 2 and a bit times down, and he's just gone on to the soft tyres, having done his initial lap on Ultrasoft, so he'll be hoping to improve to open up the strategy for him later in the race.
Yeah, interestingly enough, Vettel, Nico is on 3 lap old mediums on his quickest time, so you'd imagine them poor buggers are feeling every inch of that laps that he's been completing. You'd imagine he's going to come into the pits very shortly. Further down the field, we've got a lot of guys who haven't at times yet. Blizzard, Davidos, Cherry, Jundu, Leclerc, Ruben, the H-Eagle. Some big names in there, especially the H-Eagle, who you'd expect to be doing much better. Davidos had a great week last time. Blizzard will be looking to improve after Germany, where he looked like he had so much potential after a very good start, but sadly dropped off the pace quite dramatically. On board, I'm going to ride with Cherry Tupai, the man who is the victim of last week and the reason why Sean isn't here. No love lost between them two, and you could see it was going to come to blows eventually, and it just feels like a recurring theme. He's coming through the first few corners. He says he's very confident round here, so he could be seeing a good performance from Cherry Tupai. He's been very inconsistent. He has blips of very good pace at periods, and you'd imagine that if he can get some consistency going around here at a very difficult Hungarian Grand Prix, and if he can get it on pole or with each at least to a high enough degree, he could be on for a very good start here. His teammate Casper is up into fourth. He's run very deep into the chicane, which is going to cost him probably about 2.5 temps. It's that difficult, especially if you lose that momentum coming through this tight and tricky final sector. You can really hinder you. He's got a car ahead of him as well, which is going to be giving him dirty air. It is I believe that's a Renault who pulled over to the side for him. He's coming through this final few sectors. It is a difficult domino effect where if one guy is slowing someone down, it can affect everyone. He's coming through the final few corners. He looks quite confident. It looks like a very clean lap as he comes around now this long and difficult final corner. The H-Eagle drops himself onto pole position. A very important pole time from him. Cherry 2 Pie is the next man to come across the line. It will just leave two guys to set times. He got an invalidated lap, so it must have been that chicane, Andy, where he cut it, that he lost it. But he has not set a time for Davidos himself and Leclerc, the only guys who to set times at the moment.
Definitely so, and the H-Eagle needs to take advantage as well with Sean being out. We'll go through the championship standings in just a moment, but as you said earlier on, it is basically seen as being Monaco without the walls, with all the runoff areas. It is very easy, like it is in a lot of tracks now, to pick up an invalidated lap time. So it is something you need to be very, very careful of. Penalties, as always, could prove a very big key point at the moment. Just noticing there though as well, first down to 14th with Danny, under a second between the top 14 at the moment. But as we say, still expecting a few drivers to make changes, as quite a lot of them went out and done a banker lap, and the medium tyres are now in pit lane ready to come out shortly on the soft tyres. That neck is in 6th place, he's on the soft tyres as well. But as you say, because it is so tight, it is very easy to get that domino effect where someone slows down and it causes another problem for someone else, and you just got to be very, very careful. And in the last couple of minutes especially, we could start seeing a train going through the last couple of sectors. Casper has jumped into the chat saying the race weather is clear to light cloud, so should be fine for the start of the race. Light cloud could mean absolutely anything though towards the end of the race. Could play havoc with some of the tyre temperatures if it's enough cloud cover comes across the track, so the drivers will need to be careful with that one there. Currently watching Datnek, he's in the second Force India, which is normally taken by RC Spider, and he comes through the last corner but he's gone into pit lane. Here is last week's winner, Ruben in the Mercedes. Done the strategy absolutely perfect, went with the alternate strategy, and he's currently in 4th place at the moment, so he's another one to watch as well. And he has done his best lap at the moment on the medium tyres as well, so trying to do that one more time and it could play well. He's obviously going to have the confidence after last week, and he could be another hidden little gem somewhere in this. And this is the thing with F2 this season, even though Sean's won a few races and some people have won multiples, anyone in this field could win on a given day.
Yeah, it is very, very tight. We've had some consistently quick guys, as mentioned, but really you can have out of nowhere some top quality performances. I remember in Canada, Cherry 2 Pie put it on pole and no one expected that. Obviously last week Ruben kind of went under the radar, qualifying outside the top 10. Done a very good job. So, you know, it's not always doom and gloom. It is tough though around this track. I would say track position is probably the most vital you're going to see. Looking at the tyres that the guys are fitting, it's one hell of a streak of yellow the guys are on at the moment. Pretty much every single person is fitted these soft compound tyres apart from Ruben, Danny and Joglar, who is on an outlap at the moment, and they're actually 2-lap old mediums as well. So yeah, Ruben's coming to the pit, so too has Danny to come on to a fresh set of, I'd imagine, soft compound tyres, but Joglar is doing some banker laps. Big Parenta has just started a lap going into turn 1, so he'll be the next guy to come across the line, and interesting to see where his pace is. Obviously we only have one banker lap for the soft compound tyres at the moment. That's a 16.9 from Datnek, as VP Vettel now improves to coming top of the timings on them soft compound tyres. So it looks like guys are starting to ramp it up with just over 5 minutes to go. We're going to see that time dropping, but VP Vettel sets the benchmark. It is a Sauber 1-2 at the moment. They're living the dream, but can they keep it up there? It's going to be very, very tough. A lot of guys still to set competitive laps.
Definitely. So it was a great lap time though there from the German on the soft tyres. He's just over half a second clear of the field at the moment, so I'm sure he'll be pretty happy at that. But as you say, the drivers are now just starting to ramp it up a wee bit more over the last 5 minutes of the session. The yellow striped tyres are coming out in full force now. And the optimum strategy in terms of wanting to do a one-stopper is to either go, there's Leclerc going into pole position, finally getting a time on the board, 1:16.0. So he pips Vettel's time, so a good lap time there from Leclerc, and we know he's got some good speed in him. We've seen that through the last couple of races since he's joined already. Big Parenta up into P3, so the movers and shakers are coming along now into this final part of the session, and it could be a very interesting session indeed. I did say I was going to quickly run through the standings in terms of driver standings. Sean is still your championship leader, obviously missing tonight with that race ban. 153 points. The H-Eagle is the nearest one to him. He is 20 points behind on 133. Tactician is on 116, so he's 17 off the H-Eagle, 37 off the top, and Casper in 4th, who is 10 off the Tactician and 47 off the top. But as we were talking about just before coming on air, if they three drivers manage to get in the podium, this is going to really tighten up the championship when we move into Spa next week. So anything could happen, and it usually does in F1. Obviously, they're getting a few shout outs there in the chat. Cameron supporting that neck tonight, jumping in at the last minute, and he's been at the Autosport show today as well, so I'm pretty jealous of that. LeBron Cruz saying let's go Nolan. I'm not too sure who that is, and I think Shelley has put a comment in the chat which I think is directed at you, Ollie, and I will leave that one well alone because I know how that can go.
Yeah, let's not respond to that one. We'll save the disappointment and anger from that comment. I reckon we'll probably be for the very best. We'll talk about F1. So H-Eagle is on an outlap, and that's someone I want to keep a close eye on. He's ramping up the tyres. I think it's probably best to keep a close eye on him, especially as he's setting his lap very shortly. This could be a pole lap, and this could be the most important lap that we will see in this season. We've seen some big performances and big laps, but with Sean not being here and the championship gap between the H-Eagle and Sean, this could well be a crucial one. He's taking a nice wide line, maximising his exit, and he's full on the throttle now. ERS and DRS will be available to him as he heads down one of the longest start-finish straights. A little hump downhill will give him maximum velocity as he heads into turn 1. A minor lock-up on the front right is okay as you open up the corner nicely. A little bit of a tail snap there from him, but he's corrected it nicely, not lost too much time. Now, you want to ease into this corner, just hugging the left-hand white line, opening it up nicely, and that's not ideal as the H-Eagle there almost crashing into a wall, and he is very lucky there. He held onto that nicely, and the H-Eagle has another run at maybe going for pole position, but not ideal from him there. He has dropped in slightly behind the guys. A few interesting things to note. VP Vettel and Big Parenta both gone onto ultra soft tyres. For now, they've set their fastest up on softs, but the ultra softs have now been put onto the car as Nico promotes himself up into P2.
Yeah, good time there from Nico, and very interesting if they do come out of the pits. They're going to need to do it pretty quickly with only a minute and a half to go. But Ultrasofts, as we're saying, unless there's a safety car or you're really good at the tyre management, that's going to be a tricky one to do. Their best times are on the softs at the moment. You can see it all there as Tactician jumps it up into pole position at the moment at 1:16.057, 1/1000th of a second quicker than Leclerc's time, as Jundu gets himself disqualified for the session. It's yellow flags all over the place, probably with drivers trying to stay out of the way. But we mentioned it last time with Tactician as well. He's usually, as Davidos, there we go, finally a time for him, 15.9. But Tactician, we were talking about last time, he's usually struggles a little bit in qualifying, it seems, and then picks it up in the race, has a bit of an under the radar race, and then finds himself right up in the good points positions. But today he's got it at the moment up into P2, but it's a Ferrari 1-3 at the moment. Danny's decided he's had enough of the session. Leclerc's not going to be coming back out, he's still in the pits, as is Big Parenta. Vettel Racer is on his outlap on those ultra soft tyres, so we'll keep an eye on him. He's going to be the only one on ultra softs out on track because Big Parenta is still in the pits. Again, look at that, all the way down to that neck, down in 15th place. Under a second is separating this field at the moment, and I get the feeling that if Blizzard, Joglar and Cherry 2 Pie can nail this could be a very, very close race. We could see the entire field covered by about a second here, and I think that would be absolutely unbelievable. As checkered flag is out, we'll try and see who is next across the finish line.
The H-Eagle is very close. He's coming through the final few corners now. He's been on quite a clean lap actually. As he comes around the final corner now, he's done very well to be fair. He looked a little bit shaky. But he's coming across the line now. Let's hope he does. He gets himself on the P3, so it was a nice clean lap. The only thing to note is they are 2-lap-old tyres. Cherry 2 Pie should be under major pressure because he's the only one not to set a time. As Jogler, obviously reserve, he's dropping in today, but Cherry 2 Pie should be looking to improve around the final corner now. Opens it up quite nicely. Where do we reckon he'll go? He should be getting into the top 10, you'd imagine. He crosses the line, he gets 11th, so he just misses out. In fact, that could be a perfect place. If you start on the mediums, Ruben was in there obviously last week. That could be a great qualifying, meaning now we just need Jogler to get into that 1 second gap, and we've got ourselves one of the tightest fields in AOR this evening. He comes across the line, we're all supporting him. Can he do it? No, he cannot. Sadly, he has unable to do it, but he's very close nonetheless.
Still 1.2 seconds is incredible. As Vettel Racer on those Ultrasofts, a 14.8, and crashes into the back of the Williams and Nico across the line, but he won't be too fussed, the flag's out. And that's it. So that was it, trying to figure out if anyone else, a lot of them seem to dive into pit lane before the end. So Vettel Racer is on pole, a good second clear of anyone else, so if we ignore that though, the rest of the field's covered by about a second, but brilliant lap time from the German. But as we've discussed already, is that the right tyre strategy? He's surely got to be hoping for a safety car, or he's got to feel confident enough that he can push the tyres far enough to then put the medium tyres on. But even then, 35 lap race, that's a very, very tall order. But here is your times there. Vettel Racer takes pole position with a 14.8, Dawados in second with McGrady in third, the H-Eagle in fourth, Tactician in fifth, Leclerc in sixth, Nico seventh, Lee Finlay in eighth, Big Parenta ninth, Ruben rounds out the top 10. Cherry 2 Pie, as you say, possibly in the best position going, just outside the top 10 and 11th, gets a free choice of tyres, as does his teammate Casper. Danny in 13th, Ayamotti 14th, RC Sam in 15th, Blizzard down in 16th, Datnek in 17th, Jogler in 18th, and Jindu will be at the back of the field, having got disqualified during that session.
Yeah, really important qualifying session there, the H-Eagle doing probably just about enough. Very interesting to see what Vettel's going to do on pole in Ultrasofts. If he can pull away significantly at the start, let's say about 5-6 seconds, he could well still be on for a good performance if there is a safety car. Obviously, every week we like to have our little predictions on the one to watch. Last week you won, which made it 8-3. I've got the little... oh, sorry, no, 8-4. Sorry, 8-4.
I'll take 8-4, that sounds even better.
Yeah, 8-4. I believe it's 8-4. I'll quickly check the notes in a second, but for now we'll say it's 8-4. I've got a piece of paper somewhere, I've jotted it down. But this week, I think we've got some interesting ones to keep an eye on. The fact we have 4 reserves as well really does throw a spanner in the works. Last week, obviously, we both picked drivers that didn't have the greatest of races. One of them ended up with a race ban, the other one crashed about 4 or 5 times. So we'll be hoping for a lot better luck this time out. I'm looking at the tyres as the most important factor to see what everyone has gone on to. And Cherry 2 Pie, Casper have both gone to the medium compound tyres. So too has Ayamotti. Sam, obviously, returning, has got himself onto their mediums. Not the best qualifying from him. And Jindu in 19th on mediums, and everyone else is on the soft compound tyres apart from VP Vettel Racer, who starts on pole. For me, the man to watch this weekend, or this race, sorry, with 35 laps ahead of us, I'm going to go for Casper. I reckon he's the one who's going to charge his way through. He's got a big point to prove. He wants to get involved in that championship. He's not got as much stress on his shoulders, say, as the H-Eagle, but he can still really perform today. A podium could well be on the cards here for the Dutchman, but there's some really good guys there that I keep a close eye on.
Yeah, definitely so. I'm struggling to think who the heck I want to pick. As you say, with 4 reserve, it really does just put a bit of a spanner into the equation.
It is 8-3.
I was just yeah, thank you. I was going to think that because this is round 12 now, so it couldn't be 8-4. But there you go. I was kind of hoping. I am. Oh goodness me! I don't even know where to start with this one. Really, I really don't. I'm just.
You've got Blizzard, who's a very competitive driver. Danny as well, but Ayamotti and it's so tough.
I'm going to go with Danny. I really am. I'm going to stick my neck out. I've seen Danny race once or twice, not often. I know he can be very, very quick. 13 soft tyres. He's obviously going to try and make up as many positions as he can at the start and try and take advantage of anyone else tripping over themselves. So I'm going to stick my neck out and go with Danny, but it's a really tricky one here today with the 4 reserves and everybody so close. Anybody in the 19 here probably could be in the chance of taking really good points here. We're coming round now to complete the formation lap. It is Apex Online Racing. It's season 16. It's the Hype Energy Drinks F1 2018 League. You're watching F2 on the PlayStation 4. We've got 19 runners here this evening and a championship leader who is missing from tonight's race. So we've got plenty to look forward to as the lights are about to come on to start the race. The 4 lights, 5 lights on. Quick pause. Lights out, and here we go for the Hungarian Grand Prix, and it looks like it's been a good start from Dawidos there in second. Vettel Racer cuts him off. McGrady's going to try and get by the Ferrari as well, down towards turn 1, nearly 3-4 wide into there. That's Lee Finlay getting through on Leclerc as well as we look back through the order. Ruben trying to make up a few places. Danny's already up 4 places as well in the Williams, and there's just movers going all over the place. Big Parenta's dropped down a number of places. McGrady has got ahead of Dawidos, and the H-Eagle now is going to try and make a run on the Ferrari, but he has to pull back in at the moment. And Lee Finlay, very opportunistic there into that really quick left-hander there, up in the 4th place. Really good move there, didn't see that one coming. Nico in 6th, he's got Leclerc behind him in 7th, Ruben in 8th, and Danny in 9th. For just a big massive train through this chicane section. That's one of the Renaults there having a go. It's Blizzard and RC Sam going side by side. The Renault's now got the outside line. Blizzard on the soft tyres, and there's the other Renault behind them as well, not too far. Joggler's in there as well, and Blizzard has to give up the place, and he's lost out in another place as well to Joggler, so he's dropped down another few places, but back up towards the front of the field. Vettel Racer already 1.2 seconds clear. This is exactly what he needs to do. He needs to pull away as quickly as possible. McGrady in 2nd, Dawidos in 3rd, Lee Finlay up to 4th, 4 place gained by him. The H-Eagle in 5th, Nico 6th, Leclerc in 7th, Ruben up 2 into 8th. Here goes the H-Eagle though to the inside of Lee Finlay into turn 1. Can he get the move done? He's up the inside, squeezing the McLaren wide, and the Sauber's got the move done, and he really needs to get through. Lee Finlay's now got Nico all going to the outside, and it's just action-packed everywhere we look. I'm going to need to give cut in and let you do a bit, Rolly, because I'm losing my voice.
Yeah, down the end of the pack, Datnek has gone very, very deep there, and Ayamoti's got past him. He's going side by side with Jundu. RG Bargy, RC Sam lost it into turn 1. There was some contact, and that's him out of the Grand Prix. I think he's retiring, and Blizzard's being held up by Joglar at the moment quite dramatically. Importantly, some big gains in that start of the Grand Prix there. 4 places for Danny at the start was a big gain for him. Tactician dropping 6 in his pursuit of the championship isn't great, but the important thing to note is the highest running medium guys. Casper is the highest now from Sherry 2 Pie, so for Casper that's a huge advantage, especially being ahead of his teammate. And the fact that Casper and Tactician, 2 guys who are trying to gain on Sean in the championship at the moment, if Sean's watching at home, he'll be over the moon. The fact that 2 guys are really not having a great race at the moment, they're all very, very tight. Danny has gone really deep there and could open up some threats from behind, especially from Big Parenta, but they're all so close at the moment. But Lee Finlay looks very vulnerable from Nico, who is struggling a little bit to get heat into these tyres. They head down the start-finish straight. DRS will now be enabled. Vettel is doing exactly what he needs to do, which is gain as much as possible, but he's not going to be coming out to clean air at all. He's going to be, if he gains onto the back of this pack, he might get held up slightly, but he needs to elongate these tyres for as long as possible. Nobody's dropping back too much apart from Joglar holding up Blizzard, Ayamoti, Datnek and Jundu at the moment. The midfield is very, very tight, as it always is, but it is VP Vettel who's gaining a little bit, but he is starting to be dragged in slightly by McGrady. It's gone from 2.1 to 1.9 there, so maybe a little error from Vettel, but the tyres will start to drop off shortly. For McGrady, he's going to be feeling some...
Sorry there, the Dawidos there getting past Nico. There was a little bit of a love tap there, and the Williams nearly ended up in the wall there. He managed to keep it together, but in fact not Dawidos, sorry, Leclerc. I'm forgetting that's the other Ferrari this time tonight, but Leclerc managed to get through. There was a little touch as they came out of the right-hander before the chicane. Williams managed to do good to keep it out of the wall, but Leclerc is through there. Sorry to cut across you there, Emma.
Yeah, it's just all so tight at the moment, and what that actually has allowed is the fact that Lee Finley now has a bit of breathing space. I was about to say, Lee Finley has been right under pressure from Nico and everyone behind him, and he's actually pulled away a little bit. Davidos has gone wide out of the final corner, which is maybe gained him a slight advantage, but the field is now slowly starting to spread out. VP Vettel Racer is actually being clawed in by McGrady, Davidos and the H Eagle at the moment, so this is definitely race on at the moment, and there are no clear patterns forming apart from the fact that I think Leclerc and Nico could be battling for a very long time, the way these two are looking.
Definitely so. First down to 18th place after on the 4th lap are covered by 13 seconds. RC Sam is still in the race. He's came into the pits, put on the soft tyres now, but he's nearly a whole lap behind now, so he's going to need a lot of help to get back up towards anywhere near the front. And Vettel Racer is getting dragged in there by McGrady, Davidos and the H Eagle as well. Those Ultrasofts must already be going off. He's done about 3 laps in them, obviously through qualifying. He's now got 3 laps on his 4th lap in the race, so they're not expecting him to last too long, and he has really put himself onto a 2-stop strategy, as you say, unless a safety car comes out and really saves him. And considering how close the field is, there is always a possibility of that one being the case. Lee Finley has got the chance, got a yellow flag somewhere, and it's the H Eagle. No, it's not. It was Vettel Racer, sorry. He was round, he spun out of the second last corner. He's heading for pit lane now. Those tyres must have had enough. I just seen a Salba off. I thought it was the H Eagle, but it wasn't. It was his teammate and race leader, VP Vettel Racer, and he's now into pit lane, and he's spun coming out of the second last corner. That promotes Davidos into the lead because he's just passed VP McGrady down into turn 1 as well. So it's all going off here already at the Hungaro ring, and there's the H Eagle getting up the inside of McGrady, and that's what he needs in regards to his championship standings. Now the wingman Davidos could play a very important role for Sean, keeping the points away from his nearest rival. So H Eagle into second, McGrady third, Lee Finley's catching back onto the back of these guys now in 4th, and Leclerc's not far off, and it's getting very close. The top 15 are covered by just over 9 seconds, and you can see the train of cars that are going through the field. It's only lap 5 of 35, still a long way to go, but this could be an absolutely breathtaking race all the way to the flag.
Yeah, I'm riding on board with Danny, and he looks like he's really struggling it looks like traction through some of the corners. Lee Finley is battling with McGrady, which could actually give him a little bit of hope, but Danny is really struggling through the corners. He's going wide pretty much every time he gets a chance. McGrady's been overtaken by Leclerc, and I think he's coming into the pit, so yeah, McGrady is into the pit. Danny is really struggling, but we could see a lovely little battle between Leclerc and Nico. It's something that's been reoccurring for quite a while, and McGrady's crashed out in the pit lane. So McGrady's lost the rear end and crashed out in the pit lane, as Nico and Leclerc are going to go side by side heading into turn 1, but Williams gets the inside line and holds him off nicely at the moment, and McGrady, disaster struck him there. He's on for a great performance, and he's retired in the pit lane there, and that's not great from him, but Nico has got past. Next for him is Lee Finley. What this has allowed is the H Eagle to have a bit of breathing space to hunt down Davidos. 25 points would be crucial for him. He'd be over the moon, but at the moment 18 is what he gets, which really makes the championship as tight as it could possibly be at this stage. But the midfield scrap is really starting to heat up, but there's a few drivers that look like they're starting to struggle on their tyres. Danny especially has just not really looked like he's hit a single apex at the moment. It's almost like he's lost some of his front wing or something, but these tyres look like they're starting to drop off for the soft compound runners, which could now play into the hands of Casper and Cherry 2-Pie.
Definitely so, a long way to go. And if it was a crash in pit lane from McGrady, when we seen Vettel Racer coming in, he was drifting through pit lane. And remember, this track is only used a number of times a year. It is a very dusty track as well, known as a bit of a dust bowl. There's Danny going wide. Big Parenta's getting a bit impatient behind that Williams, but Danny's going on for another lap, so he's going to try and prolong this as much as possible, but he might be prolonging his own misery. Here goes the H Eagle. He's got DRS and Davidos. Davidos went to the inside to cover, not close enough on this occasion, but he's going to get another shot at DRS here down to turn 2. In fact, he's got a much better exit than the Ferrari there. Big Parenta's finally by Danny behind. Let's catch the end of that one as they're taking their way out of turn 1, turn 2, and there's Ruben going round the outside of the Williams there. Can he hold it through that corner? Yes, he can. Lovely move there by the Spaniard. Danny moving backwards at a vast rate of knots. It was a nice move by the German Grand Prix winner last time out, round the outside, had the inside for the next turn. That moves him up into 7th place. They're going to try and catch on to the train that is the lead pack, because pretty much right now, unbelievably, we have got 14 drivers covered by less than 10 seconds. Jundu's not too far off, he's on mediums as well. Vettel Racer put medium tyres on as Ruben gets the first time penalty off the race that I've noticed. Dat Next being in and put mediums on as well. RC Sam is still running at the back, but he's nearly a minute behind. So we have seen a few pit stops, but nothing major up front at the moment. The H-Eagle though is all over the back of Dawidos here. He's going to have another shot down into turn 1. He needs to get a good exit here out of the final corner. DRS, he's got the battery turned up to hot laps, just turned it down to overtake now. Dawidos is going to look to the inside. No, he sticks to the racing line. Can the Eagle get the move done into turn 1? He squeezes onto the racing line, and that looks like move done. Big Parenta is battling here with Leclerc as well, as Nico's lining up Lee Findlay.
Oh my god, you've not caught that, but Casper has just pulled off one of the best moves I think I have seen in AOR for quite a long time. He has just done a double overtake into turn 1, and he's switched back. But it's the way he's done it. There's Crash Out, Tactician and Cherry 2 Pie have come together. Cherry 2 Pie and Tactician coming together there. We'll quickly discuss that. It looks like Tactician maybe lost it a little bit and caught Cherry 2 Pie and clipped him, and has ended up into the wall. So undoubtedly that's going to end up in the stewards. We're talking about Casper there. What Casper's done is he's done a switchback on the two cars in Danny and Tactician, and he's gone in between the two of them as they're swabbling and switching between the two. He's gone in the slightest of gaps, slotted himself in the middle of another driver doing a switchback, and got through. It was incredible. It is, honest to God, Casper deserves driver of the day purely for that manoeuvre. That was pure quality, and he's now put himself up in the P8 and hunting down the field. He's on the medium tyres as well, but for Tactician that's an early bath, and for Cherry 2 Pie it's another incident he's involved in.
Definitely so, but for Sean that's another one in the championship that's not going to gain any points. Here goes Nico down into turn 1 on Lee Finlay, and he's going to try and get the move done there. It's a shame we missed that move from Casser, but hopefully he'll post that up later in the week, and if he does I'll retweet it out as well so you can all see that in its full glory. Nico up into P3, Lee Finlay there nearly into the back here, and Big Parenta is now all over the back of the McLaren. But yeah, just seen it in the background there with Tactician and Cherry 2 Pie, who has made it back to pit lane now. Not quite sure what happened, but obviously it's put the Red Bull in the wall, and that is Tactician out of the race. He won't be too chuffed at that at all. The H-Eagle looks to have good pace at the moment. No, he's got about a second over Dawidos, so he's just about broke the DRS range. But Nico is now in third place with Lee Finlay fourth, Parenta in fifth, Ruben in sixth place, and Casper, as you say, the highest running medium tyre car at the moment. He's in seventh. Juggler all the way up into 8th place. He's made up 10 places from his starting position, so he's kept himself out of trouble. Danny up in 9th place, but he's dropped back, having been up in about 6th place a wee bit ago. Vettel Racer is the biggest loser, the pole sitter, down 12 places, but he has made his pit stop. But with 35 laps in this race, and he's already done a few laps on those medium tyres, 4 laps already, you'd expect that he's going to have to make a 2-stop. Here goes Big Parenta. Will he make a move on Lee Finlay? Goes to the inside late. That's a late move. Touch there on the side pod between the Red Bull and the McLaren, and Jundu's got by Danny, who's finally made his way into the pit lane. Lee Finlay holds on for now, because Finlay of course has got DRS as well, and that was Parenta looking late to the inside. He managed to back out of that one. Ruben sitting there in the background ready to pick up the pieces if these two have an incident. Parenta looks to the inside, as I say, not really an overtaking place there, despite the fact that Lee managed it on lap 1, and he has to pull back in for the meantime. Pretty much through here it is single file. Ayamotti, the latest one to get a 3-second time penalty for warnings, as Ruben has to cut the chicane there, having just made a complete mess off his braking, but he manages to rejoin there, but no doubt he'll have picked up a warning for that. We're on lap 10 of 35. That is Leclerc with 3-second time penalty. I think that's his second of the race already, so that's not good for him. But the H-Eagle out in front, he's 1.6 seconds clear of Dawidos. Nico in third, who is just over a second clear. You can see him there just ahead of this battle between Lee Finlay, Big Parenta and Ruben, with Casper coming onto the back of that as well. Juggler in 8th place, Blizzard in 9th, and Ayamotti rounds out the top 10.
Yeah, it is very, very tight. Big Prentice having another crack at Lee Findlay here, heading onto the Scotsman's rear end. DRS for both of them later on the lunge there for Big Prentice in the Red Bull. Lee Findlay, I don't think he saw him there, a bit blindsided, turned in as if he wasn't going to go for the manoeuvre, and Big Prentice got past there. Aggressive manoeuvre, but clean and fair. You mentioned Danny coming into the pits. He really did need to. If I'm honest with you, he should have come into the pits a few laps earlier. It could well have cost him some points this afternoon of the way he went. He's not looking comfortable, and if he's not good on the tyres, it could be a big struggle for him. Big Prentice promoted himself into P4. The H-Eagle has kept a pretty consistent gap, about 1.5 seconds to Davidos, so the wingman really didn't do that much of a favour. Cherry Tupai on the soft compound tyres, just showing how much pace he would have had if his strategy would have been successful. VP Vettel and Leclerc are battling. Of course, VP Vettel is pretty much locked himself into a two-stop, a 3-second time penalty for Danny. Both Leclerc and Vettel running wide, a very tight battle between these two. Just a couple of attempts between them, but Leclerc on fresher tyres and probably the quicker of the race cars between the two. But so that Ferrari is being hindered by dirty air at the moment as they make their way through the final sector. Vettel really struggling there. So a lot of the guys are struggling on their tyre maintenance, but some of them are doing very good at the moment. The top 10, all of them really doing very well, who are on the soft compound tyres. All 8 of them are doing a very good job. As I say, like Lee Findlay comes into the pits, so too does Nico. And a lot of them are going to start to dive into the pits now as well. So we're starting to see the first pit stops come into efficiency here as we've just gone over the 1/3 mark of this Grand Prix. So we've got a long way to go.
Definitely so. The pit window is definitely now open. Nico, Lee Findlay, blizzards into the pits as well. All 3 of them have put on the medium compound tyres. So long way to go with 35 laps in the race, but they'll hope to make that to the end of the race. The H-Eagle, though, I'm guessing is going to try and extend the stint as long as he can. As long as he's still got good pace, he might as well stay out there. He's got 2.2 seconds as Davidos goes jumping across the chicane, having made a little bit of a mess of it. He'll have no doubt picked up a warning for that. Big Parenta in 3rd place. He's got the attentions of Ruben behind him in 4th. Casper, your pick, up into 5th place on those medium tyres. So he's looking pretty good at the moment as the Dutchman, and with Tactician out of the race, this is a good chance for Casper to jump up into the top 3 in the standings. He's only 10 points behind Tactician, and with a Red Bull driver and the Finn out of the race, the Dutchman could jump up the standings here and put himself into a possible title challenge towards the end of the season. So he's looking good for him at the moment if he can keep going. Joglar here in 6th place, as we've now got Davidos and Ruben into pit lane, so Joglar jumps up to 4th place. So he's having a pretty decent race at the moment, kept himself out of trouble, having started all the way down the field. The reserve having his debut here tonight for F2 this season, and he's doing pretty well at the moment. The other debut driver, Ayamote, is in 5th place at the moment. He's on the medium tyres as well, so he can still run another few laps before he needs to pits. And there's Jundu, having started right the way at the back of the field, up into 6th place. He's on the medium tyres as well. But look who's now out in 7th place, having made his pit stop. Davidos is now the effective net race leader if he can keep the pace up, which you'd imagine on fresh tyres he should be able to do. It's now a case of when does the H-Eagle come into pit lane. You'd imagine he's probably going to want to do it sooner rather than later to avoid getting undercut massively here by those guys behind. He's coming through the 2nd last corner now. We'll just see if he heads for pit lane, drifting his way through it, and yep, yes he does. So he is heading into the pits now, is the race leader. Nice and easy on the entrance there just to avoid any issues. So he's in the pits. Big Parenta's in as well, and that promotes Casper into the lead of the race here in the Toro Rosso, the winner at the Austrian Grand Prix as well. He's got a win on the board, of course, there with that, and he is now up into the lead of the race. Joglar carries on, 13 laps on those soft tyres, so he's done pretty well on that. Ayamote now into 3rd place. Jundu in 4th. Where does the H-Eagle come back out? Let's have a look here. It's going to be very, very close. Where are we? Where is Davidos? He's behind. Davidos is behind, so coming in at the right time has got the H-Eagle back out in front of his nearest challenger before the pit stops, and that is good news for the Salba driver and not good news for Davidos or his teammate Sean either.
Great midfield battle going on while you were talking there. It's been intense. Big Parenta, Ruben, Leclerc and Vettel have just been squabbling. A few guys coming to the pits. Nico was able to get the jump, and they've all been squabbling and trading places throughout the middle and final sector. Penalty there for Leclerc, but Ruben has who come out into the pit with cold tyres, was holding them all up and bunched them all up, and Big Parenta is doing the exact same here. Now, contact between the two of them. Mercedes runs into the rear end of the Red Bull, and we saw how that massively affected Cherry Hooper and Sean last time out in Germany down at the Mercedes Grand Prix, down at the Mercedes Grand Prix grandstand. A big crash there, but you can see, luckily enough for both of them, no damage. But Big Parenta, if he can get them tyres up the temperature, will be living the dream. The H-Eagle doing a very good job with the overcut there. But on colder tyres, Davidos could have a chance of gaining onto him as well. But this midfield scrap between the four cars, between Big Parenta and VP Vettel, has now got Lee Findlay joining into the action as well. So the midfield always produces something exciting. We'll keep a close eye on Ruben, who looks to be the closest guy to gain. He's going defensive, Big Parenta, moving and weaving, and all the guys like at Snake are following him in every direction he goes. Can the Mercedes go for a late lunge up the inside? We saw Big Parenta go for one earlier on in the race, and he's unable to do so. But this is a very tight battle between this midfield pack with Lee Findlay and VP Vettel. They're touching wheels. Vettel will be happy to be involved in this, considering the fact he's likely to be on a two-stop. He'll be hoping for a safety car or a virtual safety car. Vettel has gone very wide there onto the grass and dirt, and it's lost him some time. Can Lee Findlay go for a manoeuvre around the outside? He's got momentum. Can he brake later? No, he cannot. He backs out of it and thinks better of it. But all this is doing is helping the guys ahead of him pull a little bit ahead. But there's some great squabbling between this lot going on at the moment. On lap 15 of 35, Big Parenta is holding up this train nicely, and Ruben's made a mistake which has allowed Leclerc to get involved in this little battle. And all these points and all these position battling is actually for quite high points in this Grand Prix, so they're all hoping they can do a very solid job and maybe gain some places quickly. Vettel's gone very wide, and Lee Findlay could be getting past him. The quicker for Lee Findlay the better, because he's actually losing out quite a lot at the moment because of the hold up from this Sauber.
Definitely Vettel racer, of course, into the pits early, having had the ultra softs on. He's done 10 laps on those mediums already. Lee's only had them on for 3 laps. Joglar and Jundu have came into pit lane, and you need to keep an eye on Jundu later on in this race, because he's gone on to the soft tyres, obviously having started on the mediums, so a bit early there possibly. Lee Findlay looking to the inside. Vettel racer very late on the defensive move. It was almost Max Verstappen-esque, but he manages to keep the place for now. But as usual here in F2, the midfield squabble is giving us exciting racing all through the field. Big Parenta still got Ruben and Leclerc. We'll just jump ahead in this battle. We'll keep an eye on how things are going as they come up the hill and through the fast left-hander. Lee is right behind Vettel racer. Leclerc's just dropped off the back of Ruben a wee bit, who's got the ability now to just concentrate in the car ahead of him, and Lee Findlay, it looks like, is probably getting very frustrated behind that Sauber. It's making itself as wide as a London double-decker bus at the moment on those medium tyres, so Lee will be getting a bit annoyed, I'm sure, but we know he can make some good moves. We've seen one at the start of the race in lap 1 into the fast left-hander at the top of the hill, so we know what he can do. We've seen him do it before, but he needs to make sure it's a clean pass that he gets done. Leclerc has fell off a little bit. He's already out of DRS range, so Ruben can concentrate on Big Parenta. But up front, Casper is nearly 6 seconds clear of the Renault Levia Motti, with the H-Eagle in third place, which is the effective net lead of the race. Once the two guys ahead come into the pits, Davidos 2.5 seconds down, with Nico a further 2.5 seconds down in fifth, and Lee Findlay has finally got the move done. But Vettel racer's gone back up the inside. The old switchback there has worked out for the Sauber. Lee looks to the inside line. He's going to have to squeeze his way through there. There's no gap there. The German keeping the Scotsman behind, and the Sauber keeps itself ahead. Lee got through briefly, but he's going to try that move into the fast corner, the fast left-hander again, but he has to back out of it. You need to be basically exactly side by side at least to try that one, and it'd be still, even then, a very brave move indeed. Ruben still on the back of Big Parenta, but it looks like he's not got anything for the Red Bull at the moment, and they are starting to reel in Nico, so we're going to have 5th place dragged into this in the next couple of laps as it goes on. We're coming up now to halfway distance as Leclerc picks up yet another time penalty. I'm sure that's 12 seconds worth of penalties for him now, so he's probably going to end up at the back of the field before long. Blizzard on the back of Danny down in 12th place. They're fighting on 12th and 13th with Jundu, who's just came out of the pits in 14th. Cherry 2 Pie 15th, Dat Neck down in 16th after an instant. RC Sam down at the back of the field, Tactician and McGrady out of the race, and McGrady in the chat was advising that Vettel spun in front of him. We did see that when Vettel spun before his pit stop, and that damaged the front wing of the Haas, and that's what's caused him issues there, as Blizzard has got through and up the inside of Danny into turn 1. Just missed the end of that there as the moves and the battles. Oh, Danny nearly into the back of the Renault there. Jundu's going to have to be careful. He could end up losing wings here before long. We're now at halfway distance, just over, and this action is just going to go all the way to the flag. This is not over by a long shot, but Blizzard gets moved up into 12th place. But Big Parenta still trying to chase Nico down. Ruben's still there as well. Leclerc's dropping off the back of him, and Lee Findlay is still stuck behind VP Vettel Racer, while Casper is looking pretty handy out in the lead. Got nearly 6 seconds off a gap, and he's going on for another lap in his Toro Rosso.
Yeah, two things to note there. Danny just still looks like he's struggling. There just seems to be a real lack of grip in them tyres or management or something. He's just struggling. Looking at the gaps and the average times as well these guys have been pitting, Casper should, and I believe could well be pitting and coming out ahead of VP Vettel, which could be a vital move for him, because we've seen how difficult it is to overtake the Sauber driver. If Casper can get ahead of him there, it could be an important pit stop for him as he can push onwards. If he keeps going the way he's going as well, he could well be on for a chance of a podium or even a race victory, which would be a great recovery drive from him, because it's not too implausible. But the H-Eagle is starting to gain on him. The quicker he comes into the pits, the better. We know the soft compound tyres do not last long at all. Danny's fall has now got him down into P14 as Jundu has got past him in the Mercedes. It's been a very strange race for Danny, because he had that great start where he gained 6 places, and now he's lavishing down at the back, and he doesn't look confident or comfortable in them tyres at all. Cherry 2 Pie is not too far behind him either, and he's obviously pitted a lot earlier for a set of the soft compound tyres as well, and was involved in an incident. So Danny is maybe just that start is a bit of a fluke for him. Maybe he wasn't sandbagging any pace for the likes of Casper were. Casper is really flying though at the moment, but the H-Eagle is almost onto the back of Ayamotti, so Casper could be thinking shortly to come into the pits. He's going to enter lap 20, still on them same mediums. Ayamotti is coming to the pits on the mediums, so that tells you they are starting to fall off a little bit, which will now promote the H-Eagle up into P2. He's doing everything right at the moment. As long as Casper doesn't have some form of flyer later in the Grand Prix, he could be taking the championship lead.
Definitely so. A race win will see him go 5 points clear at the top of the championship ahead of Sean. Ayamotti, as you say, does finally come into the pits onto the soft tyres for him. Nice run there from the Renault. Danny does seem to be struggling. I'm just wondering if maybe he's put too much bias on the car, too much of the weight ballast there, just causing the tyres to go off very, very quickly maybe. Lee Findlay and VP Vettel Racer are still fighting, coming down towards turn 2. The Scotsman's going to have to go the long way round through turn 2. He's now got the inside for turn 3. They're nearly touching side by side. Vettel Racer has to take off the track to make sure there's no incident. They're still side by side through the fast left-hander, and Lee's got the move done. That was a nice move there at the end, and Lee has finally got the move done, and it's taken him about 5 or 6 laps. He now needs to get the hammer down and try and get away as quickly as he can from the back from that Sauber. So he was stuck up behind him for a number of laps. As you say, Casper now is the only man still to pit, and he could still come out just ahead of VP Vettel Racer, which, as you say, could be absolutely crucial for him later on in this race. Jundu's managed to get himself ahead of Blizzard, and Danny and Jogler are fighting. In fact, Jogler is actually ghosting, so we've obviously lost the Haas driver in terms of his connection to the lobby, and that's what's seeing him drop through the field. Ayamotti's came back out in 14th place, and it just shows you that how close the top 13-14 cars are, that you can make a pit stop and you end up coming out at the tail end of the top 10. There's Jogler back in the lobby, so he'll now have control of that Haas one more time in just a short moment, so that's good that he's managed to get back in, and hopefully he can take control very soon as Ayamotti goes past him pretty easily while he is still ghosting.
Yeah, looking at the gaps and the intervals of where the guys are, I think Casper's going to be very tight to Lee Findlay based on the way that the pit stops are going. He did have that 6-second gap, but they're obviously going much quicker. Yellow flags in sector 3. Somebody has gone off, and it must have been just a blip, last minute blip or something, so there was nothing too major. I noticed nobody dropped down, so luckily for them. Ruben is gaining onto the rear end of Big Parenta at the moment, so that could be a close one to keep an eye on, because Ruben, of course, has been a bit inconsistent, but we know he's got the pace in him. It's actually quite a tight battle. You can see Nico and Davidos are all within a certain radius of them as well, so we've got a battle for the podium places starting to form between Williams and Mercedes or Red Bull, and potentially the ultimate wingman himself in Davidos. And Leclerc and Lee Findlay aren't too far behind. If Leclerc can get himself some momentum, it could be tight. Looking at Ruben, he doesn't look like he's close enough this lap, but if he keeps going the way he is with DRS available to him and using his ERS as well, he could be getting very close to the back of them shortly. Joglar has been overtaken by Cherry Tupai, and his ghost car, Iron Motti, is now gone fastest, and he's actually getting onto the rear end of Danny, and this could be another misery compiler for him. Up the inside goes to Renault, smooth as you like past him, and I cannot see Danny getting past him again. He's going to cut off the switchback there, and Danny is going to have to slot in behind. He might go for another move, but it doesn't look like he's got enough momentum on the Renault, and the debutant has done a great job there getting past him. Danny, your pick, has not really made any mistakes. He just doesn't look comfortable in that car at all, and a race that looked so promising for him after a very good start has kind of fallen off the wayside. We're still waiting as well, though, for Casper to pit, and I don't think Casper's actually picked up a single time penalty, which could be quite vital for him later on.
Could definitely. So do you think he might even try and push this a bit longer and go for ultra softs? It would be a very brave move to do that. Need to still go a long way, but he's doing well at the moment. I think he's going to need to pit soon and go into the soft tyres. You leave it too long, you're giving yourself too much to do in too short a space of time. And at least in terms of Danny struggling, although he was my pick, it seems like it's just a struggle rather than anything going on.
He got me to the pits and he speed him.
Not good. The Dutchman making a mistake in pit lane, just pushing too hard there. He's finally pitted 22 laps he's done on those tyres. He's now onto the softs. Got a 5-second penalty to be added to his race time at the end. Let's see where he rejoins. Where is he? He's still looking at the pit crew. There he is, coming out of the pit lane now, and Leclerc's got ahead. Lee Finlay round the outside of him. Casper's just ahead. He's ahead of Vettel Racer, which is good for that side of things, and Lee Finlay's now got the inside line. Casper, though's got fresh tyres. Can he get the move done around the outside? Lee Finlay, no he doesn't. He has to back in for now, and we know Lee's a very good defensive driver as well, so that's not what Casper needed. He nearly got the jump there, but unfortunately the McLaren able to jump ahead as the Toro Rosso exited pit lane. But 5 seconds to be added to that Toro Rosso's time. Danny dropping off, and there's 3 seconds to add even more misery to his desire there. Joglar drops out the session one more time. At least this time, in terms of my pick, it's not necessarily the curse, because it's not been a terrible race. He seems to be doing well, just seems to be struggling. I think maybe too much weight ballast has just completely shot the tyres, I'd think.
Yeah, Casper is starting to get some heat into them tyres, and is now starting to hunt down Lee Findlay. He's breathing down his neck, and I think it could be a matter of time until he gets himself under P7 with around about 11 complete laps to go. You've got to look at the reasonable gaps and see where he can go. He could probably get onto the rear end of Leclerc, then it's a 5-second gap, and then the podium is on the cards. Of course, you've got that 5-second stop-go penalty that he'll have to take it into the race. He's now going to try and get past that orange McLaren, the Tangerine, versus the lovely shade of blue Toro Rosso, sporting the cola sponsoring. Sugar-free sponsoring, my bad. So many Red Bull flavours. Up the inside he goes, further behind, BP Vettel, Racer and Jundu are going side by side. Casper was able to successfully get it done, but Jundu was not. He's going to continue to go side by side. He's pushed off wide onto the marbles there, onto that side of the track, runoff area, and he is not able to get past VP Vettel Racer, who's dropped 8 places after qualifying pole. Some big gainers there. Davidos not gaining anything, but the man ahead of him, the H-Eagle, has gained 3. Nico's 4 gained, Parenta's 5, Ruben 5. There's been some big losses though from a Gradian Tactician who DNF. Cherry Tupai is down in 16th, losing 5 places, but a lot of good performances, especially from Jundu, who goes often unnoticed, but Lee Findlay has been pulled away from by Casper, and look how quickly Casper has gained onto Leclerc on them soft compound tyres. We mentioned about how he was maintaining and maybe going the ultra softs. I think he's pulled this perfectly, because he's going to have maximum pace on these soft compound tyres to really push, and if he wouldn't have had that time penalty, a podium could well have been on the cards for him.
You never know, a podium might even still be on the cards if he can keep the tyres to the end of the race. But 5 seconds at the end, there you go, 18.474 for the Toro Rosso as he goes down the inside of Leclerc into turn 1. It's a pretty easy move. I don't think Leclerc fighting that too much. 16 lap old mediums to 2 lap fresh soft tyres there, but 1 minute 18.4 fastest lap, and I think the closest to that one is possibly Blizzard, I think, 18.7. I'm not too sure. We get yellow flag in Sector 1. I know the Reynolds were fighting, but I'm not too sure if it was them. I think it was Jundu going wide again, actually, as well, as he's fighting with Vettel Racer, who's on 20 lap old tyres now, having pitted early in the race, having started and qualified on the Ultra Soft. So that car has got to be handling really badly. Those tyres will be absolutely knackered. Cherry 2 Pie, after his earlier incident, has came into pits for a second stop now, so he's down in 16th place. RC Sam still running around at the back in 17th. He's on 22 lap old sauce. He's got nothing to gain, nothing to lose, so he's probably just going to see how long he can push it. As Cherry 2 Pie picks up a 3-second time penalty, but penalties are going to come into this still. Still got a bit to do in regards to that. Jogler hasn't dropped out of the session, unfortunately, properly now, so I don't think we'll see him back in. As Cherry 2 Pie and Datnek are having a wee fight over 14th and 15th. Cherry obviously in completely fresh tyres. Datnek is on 19 lap old mediums. It should be a pretty easy move for the Toro Rosso if he just keeps patient through these next couple of corners. He can get the move done easily on DRS, but it's Cherry 2 Pie we're talking about here. He's going to try and do this ASAP. He's going to go the long way round the turn 13. He's now got the inside for turn 14, better traction, and he gets the move done. Cherry 2 Pie, even though he's probably going to be struggling to get any points out of this unless things happen ahead, he's not wasting any time on those fresh tyres.
Yeah, a few notes here I've been keeping an eye on. Ruben and Big Parenta still very, very close and battling, but no clear-cut manoeuvre. It looks like they can outmatch and outpace each other at the moment. They're just keeping each other very, very keen. Casper is gaining almost a single lap, so he's really flying. Yellow flagged in Sector 2. No one's dropping down at the moment. What's happened there? Has anything happened? No, someone's just gone wide, but Casper is really gaining. It's now 4 seconds, so he's gaining a second a lap, and the way he's going at the moment, it's going to be fearful for Ruben and Big Parenta and Nico as well. If he gets past them, can he pull away a significant amount of time? To Leclerc, it's 3 seconds at the moment. If he can maybe pull out 2 more, then that's guaranteed 6th place for him, but he'll be hoping for a lot more. He may take the penalty to the stewards, we never know. Be highly unlikely. Fastest lap there from the Dutchman, as he's now really chasing down Ruben and Big Parenta, and Ruben still unable to get past the Red Bull.
No, he's still not. We're currently watching Vettel Racer with defensive drive on a Jundu right to the inside, came back to the racing line. Jundu's now going to try and go the long way round the Sauber. The Sauber just pushes him wide, but Jundu's now got the inside line. He can do to Vettel what Vettel did to him a few laps ago, push him wide, and finally the Mercedes has got past the Sauber. We've got yellow flag Blizzards out of the race, so obviously something's happened to the Renault. We'll see what's going on. Yellow flag was there at the end of the sector. I don't know what's happened, but Blizzard, the third retirement from this race. Big Parenta there in 4th. Ruben still behind in 5th place, and it's another poor race in the AOR for Blizzard. I know he's a quick driver. I've seen him in other leagues, and we know he can do some really, really good lap times, but he just can't seem to find the consistency when it comes to Sunday nights here on AOR. Ruben is still looking at the back of Big Parenta. This is over 4th and 5th place at the moment, and you can see just ahead Nico is not too far away, so this is about to turn into a scrap for the final step on the podium before long. Ruben getting very sideways on the exit there. Lee Finlay is still on the back of Leclerc, who's now on 19 lap old tyres. Lee's been on them for 16 laps. Jundu is still ahead of Vettel Racer after all of that bumping and barging, and Ayamotti and AZR Danny having a wee scrap into turn 1, and Danny, having been struggling in this race, 18 lap old tyres, gets ahead off the Renault there of Ayamotti, the Italian, but I think obviously with fresher tyres the Renault will not be giving that one up without a fight. But up front on lap 28.35 he's got 4.7 seconds to 2nd place. The H-Eagle is currently on his way, if he can keep it together, to taking the championship lead here in F2 in the Hype Energy F1 2018 League, and that could be the best result possible, and it was exactly, if he can do what he needed to do here today. And look at this, that is Big Parenta now within DRS range of Nico. The Williams must be struggling on those tyres. Dawidos there you can see in the distance just as well, so this is about 4th, 5th, and Casper is not too far back either. I just seen him in the rear of the shot as well. That Toro Rosso is getting at a vast rate of knots. He's 3 seconds behind him at the moment, but he's got the fresher tyres, he's got the pace, we know he can do it. This is about to turn into a grandstand finish for the podium positions for sure.
Yeah, a few other notes to take into consideration. VP Vettel Races on 24-lap old mediums, and he's doing a very good job considering when he pitted and started the Ultra Softs. We said if he can maintain them, he's on for a point at the moment, which would be a huge result for him. Potential driver of the day worthy considering the strategy he was on. Nobody really expected him to get that close. You've got Lee Findlay, Leclerc and Jundu all very tight at the moment as Ayamotti has picked up a time penalty. Casper is now just 2.5 seconds off the pace of these guys. Ruben's dropped back a second, so he's kind of taken himself out of consideration for now, unless he's starting to build up some ERS or just backing off and taking some time to himself to then go for another charge. But every single lap that these guys are close and squabbling and slowing each other down, it's just allowing Casper a chance to get involved into the battle. Who he has now got over a 5-second gap to Leclerc as well, so he should be safe in P6 as a minimum for him to keep a close eye on the championship, so he has the freedom to push, and you can see how close they are. He's getting closer and closer every single lap. Big Parenta will be sick of the sight of Nico ahead of him by about now, but Davidos isn't really clear from this either. Davidos has been kind of under the radar. For the second week running, he's actually going to outperform his teammate, technically, if you want to be technical. But he's back-to-back podiums for Davidos will be quite impressive for the wingman, who's doing a really good job at the moment in trying to secure a Constructors' push and a Constructors' challenge for the team. He's doing a good showing at the moment. The H-Eagle got a 5-second gap as well, so even with a couple of penalties he should be relatively safe. But Big Parenta, Ruben, Nico, all very tight, almost 2 seconds behind them is Casper. Lap 30 of 35 is getting interesting. Lee Findlay, Leclerc and Jundu are keeping us entertained as well in that midfield strap as they battle for final points. Danny and Ayamotti as well. It's all starting to come alive at the very end here of the Hungarian Grand Prix for AOR's F2 on the PS4.
Definitely so, and that next been in and made a second pit stop going on to ultra soft tyres, as has RC Sam, who done, I think it was 26 laps he did on the soft tyres. He had nothing to lose. He's now decided he's going to try and get himself maybe a fastest lap for the end of the race. We're now into the closing stages, 5 laps to go, lap 31 or 35, and I think that was Nico running a little bit wide out of the last corner, and you can see it there, 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th. We're all in the one frame there. Danny is dropped out, left the session, so he's now a ghost car just to compound misery. I must be cursed. I'm going to stop this. You can just win it. I don't care. But Parenta still looking at the back of the other Williams. Lee Findlay has finally got past Leclerc. I know he's not. The Ferrari has still got the inside line. Where are they? They're wheel to wheel coming down towards turn 2. Jundu's there as well, and he's going to look to throw it up the inside. That'll be a brave move by the Mercedes driver, but they all hold on for now. I don't know if that was desync or what, but I thought Lee Findlay was heading one-way straight towards the wall there. That was very interesting indeed. So Lee Findlay finally gets by Leclerc. Leclerc's going to end up in about 16th place for the amount of penalties he's got. That's about 6 times I've seen his name prop up, so he's not going to be finishing in the points at this rate because of all those penalties. But Lee Findlay finally gets the move done on track. Big Parenta half a second behind Nico. He's still got the Williams in his view. Davidos has got 2 seconds. There goes Datnek on the Ultrasofts, the 17.1, easily the fastest lap of the race at this point in time in those fresh tyres. And look at this, Nico is struggling at this point. Big Parenta has only got 2 lap fresher tyres, but he looks to have a much more planted car underneath him. Here we go, the Red Bull down towards turn 1. Nico goes to the defensive inside line. Big Parenta's going to try and go the long way round. Can Nico hold the line? Can Big Parenta hold it? The Williams holds on for now as Ruben picks up a time penalty. That could come back later on in the race. Here goes Parenta down the inside into turn 2. They're touching. Carefully, don't lose your wing there, my friend. And Nico holds on for now, but Big Parenta is looking the quicker driver. You can see Casper there in the background. That's one of the Force Indias of either Datnek or RC Sam just getting lapped there. And Leclerc has been passed by Jundu as well. So the Mercedes has got past the Ferrari. That is another move there with Leclerc down to 9th place, but he's got a ton of penalties to be added on. Danny back into pit lane, but of course he is now a ghost car at the moment. Cherry Tupai back into pit lane. He's decided probably just wants to go for a fastest lap as well in the last few laps to go. Lap 32 or 35, we're in for a grandstand finish there. Davidos might be 2 seconds clear, but he's still not out of the woods yet. But the longer this goes on, then they could just keep him safe, and that is the Haas there. That is Joggler, who is ghosted out of this session as well. So there's 2 ghost cars kicking about. That is Joggler and Danny.
Has it given Nico DRS? I'm not too sure. I don't think it has.
No, it hasn't.
The ghost car may have given... No, it hasn't. I was going to say that would be pretty annoying for Big Parenta there, who's really charging him down. But I've just been keeping a close eye on some other things. Cherry 2 Pie coming into the pits, obviously for the fastest lap there. Penalty-wise as well, keeping a close eye as Yundu and Lee Findley are battling it out at the moment. Penalty-wise, whoever wins out of Nico, Big Parenta and Ruben will get the podium, because they're all relatively similar on penalties as well. Jundu and Lee Findley, I believe, just came to blows a little bit there, Andy.
Indeed, yeah, we went for the inside line, and a good thump there. Thankfully, wheel to side pod, no major damage done, no wing damage by the looks of it, but that was a fair thump there. I thought that Mercedes might go flying off towards the nearest hedge before long, but yeah, carry on with the penalties there, Ollie, sorry.
Yeah, the likes of penalties, I believe the way they're working out, whoever gets it will get the points and get the podium as well. Only the fact is that Ruben does have 9 seconds now, so Ruben is pretty much out of the equation, but I believe he was already likely to not be involved at all. But 3-second time penalty for Nico and Big Parenta, so whoever crosses a line ahead here will get the position. Casper will be promoted up into P5, but he can sniff, he can smell it. I'm not sure if you can smell it, Andy, but I can smell some action coming in the distance. The cloud cover's coming in. Speaking of action, here goes Nico and Big Parenta. They're going to keep their battle alive, and here he goes, Big Parenta around the outside. Time penalty for Cherry 2 Pie, but Big Parenta is now going to have the inside line heading into turn 2. He's got the place. Can he hold on to the manoeuvre? Round the outside, goes him off, and Big Parenta at last has got... Maybe the Williams, he's pushed off wide, and he's got to rejoin there safely, and Parenta has the place, but now allowing for Ruben to get involved as well. They're all so tight on the penultimate lap here. It's going to be plain safety for the H Eagle and Davidos, but these guys are all squabbling for the final podium, and Casper, who was expecting to come at a rapid rate of knots, has only just joined into this battle. So on the final lap, going down the start-finish straight, we can have a great little squabble for a potential podium between these guys. It's going to be tight, it's going to be nitty-gritty. Big Parenta isn't pulling away at the moment, coming through this final sector. Can he gain any time at all? Fastest lap achieved by Cherry 2 Pie. That means to a 3-second time penalty. Davidos in the distance there. The Big Parenta going to come through this final sector now. He needs to set it up nicely. He's going to be under threat, and the likes of Casper are going to get a triple toe, and this could be 4 abreast into turn 1. We'll keep a close eye on what they're able to do. Here comes Big Parenta round the final corner. He's going to have to open it up nicely here. Open up the ERS, and no DRS of course available to him. He's got a very good exit here, and this actually might open him up. Nico is going to try and slipstream him. It might be a minor anti-climax. Casper can see Ruben. Is he going to go for the mover there potentially, Nico? He's unable to do so. He's got one more crack at the whip as he goes for the switchback. Heading into turn 2. Big Parenta goes defensive. Is it going to be a late lunge up the inside, Bottas and Vettel style? No, it's not. Round the outside, can the Williams keep him keen? Big Parenta has dropped the manoeuvre, and he's held on to the place there, and now this is really bunching up into the final sector for these guys.
Definitely, so fantastic action into the final lap here between this. This is the fight over the final podium place as well. Third place, Big Parenta timing it well. Took him a number of laps to get the move done, but he finally got it done. I just noticed in the chat as well, Danny was mentioning that his tyres were overheating. He said it was horrible to drive, so I think my thought of too much ballast maybe in the wrong direction causing that issue for him. We'll come back to this battle in a minute, because I want to see the race leader and the new championship leader coming across the line. It is the H Eagle. He's made up a number of places in the race, 3 places having started 4th, and with Sean not being here today, this is the best result for him. He comes across the line, it's his 3rd victory of the season. He wins the Hungarian Grand Prix, and with that takes the championship lead as well. Davidos comes across the line, he's going to take 2nd, Parenta's going to hold on for 3rd, but watch out for the penalties as well. Nico crosses the line in 4th on the track. Casper jumps to 5th due to the penalties of Ruben, who's in 6th place. Lee Finley is going to cross the line in 7th, but he jumps up to 6th thanks to Ruben's penalty, so he drops to 7th. Jundu in 8th, Leclerc in 9th, but he's going to drop like an absolute stone in a minute. There goes Vettel Racer up into 9th place, and it's going to be Ayamotti taking a point on his debut as well thanks to Leclerc's penalties. victories. Cherry 2 Pie getting that fastest lap of the race there, so job done at least in that side of things, but again, he won't be too chuffed having been caught up in yet another incident one more time. He's going to be the last car to cross the line because Danny is a ghost car at this point in time. Cherry 2 Pie drifting his way through the last couple of corners, but it has been a fantastic race for the Sauber team in a whole, because obviously Vettel Racer took the pole position as Cherry 2 Pie does some donuts across the line, but your winner of the Hungarian Grand Prix, it's the H-Eagle, and he is your new championship leader.
Yeah, there'll be a minor bit of heartbreak for one driver. That'll be Casper. That 5-second stop go has actually cost him a podium. If he wouldn't have got that, he would have jumped Big Parenta into the podium places there, so he'll be a bit disappointed. That one error has cost him a podium, but a great drive from him up there for driver of the day. We'll discuss that shortly. It probably between him and the H-Eagle as driver of the day. A great performance and a good celebrations here from the H-Eagle, as we're going to slowly try and get the drivers in interviews for leading the time this season. Somebody other than Sean is leading the championship. I'm not sure if you can clarify, but the H-Eagle wins the Grand Prix in a comfortable fashion, 6.1 seconds ahead of Davidos in second. Big Parenta is in third. Nico is in fourth. Casper gets himself up into fifth after gaining some good positions and good overtaking, a good strategy from him. Lee Findlay in sixth. Seventh is Ruben, who won last time out in Germany. Jundu in eighth. Vettel, great drive from him, considering he started off very well to make them tyres last so long. In ninth place for him. 10th is Ayamotti on his debut. Leclerc, with all them penalties, 18 seconds worth, is in 11th. Cherry 2 Pie in 12th after contact with Tactician. Danny in 13th, mentioning his issue with ballast. Datnek in 14th. RC Sam, Joglar and Blizzard round out the remaining drivers, with the two DNFs coming from Tactician and VP McGrady. Tactician coming together with the Toro Rosso of Cherry 2 Pie. Blizzard, also retired in the pit lane, and VP McGrady lost control coming into the pit lane for his stop there. Grace, I don't know about you, Andy, but I think like it's going to go down as one of the more tactical Grand Prix, but it did prove some good overtaking opportunities there.
It did indeed, and obviously with the tight nature of the track, your main overtaking obviously is down into either turn 1, possibly turn 2 as well. Obviously Lee managed to throw one up the inside. I think it was Nico in lap 1 at the top of the hill, which was, I did not see that one coming, but very tactical race for sure, but it's the best result possible for the H-Eagle, with Sean obviously missing. Puts him for his third win of the season to go along with China and that fantastic race he had at Silverstone. So that's now him on to 3 race victories, just behind Sean, who, if I remember correctly, is on 4 victories. No, he's on 3 victories, so he's now tied with Sean for 3 race victories of the season.
Would have been 4, I thought, of the Monaco.
That's correct, yep, absolutely, that's where I'm getting confused there. But Casper, just couldn't quite get close enough until the last points in the lap. That 5-second penalty, as you say, has cost him, by the sounds of it, a podium. So, not the greatest driver of the day. As much as it's a cliche to pick the winner, I'm going to go with the H-Eagle because he drove flawlessly. He done exactly what he needed to do, stayed out of trouble. Casper wasn't too far behind though, having started in 12th and finishing up there as well. He could have been a lot further up there, so it's between they two, but I'm going to give it to H-Eagle because he done what he needed to do and he done it flawlessly today.
We go the opposite way. I would say Casper, but honourable mentions would go to the H-Eagle, and probably as well, this is going to sound a bit unorthodox, I'm going to say VP Vessel Racer. I know he started pole and finished in 9th, but to make them mediums last as long as he did was quite exceptional. We are waiting on the H-Eagle, our new championship leader, to join us very shortly, but we'll get things started with the guys who are here, Big Parenta and Davidos. We'll start with Davidos. For the second time running, he's joining us here on the podium celebrations, and unlike Kieran Trippier, Davidos, you showed some good talent this evening. How was that for you?
Shout out to Shizu Olidi for P6 in F1 tonight, but yeah, to be fair, he was quite decent. Well, I think I got a bit robbed of a pole position. There, Vettel, who started on Ultrasoft, but we'll leave that out. Then on the start, I got jumped by McGrady. After that, Vettel spun on the curb in the penultimate corner, which broke McGrady's wing, and McGrady was essentially out of the race. Then me and H-Eagle kept on, carried on. H-Eagle got past me around lap 6, I think, and then since then I haven't seen him because he was just too quick. And I just did what I could.
Well, you've kind of your teammate Shadow in recent. It's been more in the news for his let's say other that he race. But you've almost come into your own recently now that he's out of the picture, made mistakes. You haven't had that almost shadow overwhelming you. In fact, you've just thrived recently, and it's back-to-back podiums, and it's quite an impressive feat, and it's a good chance of a potential constructors champion.
Well, yeah. To be fair, we are aiming for the constructors championship. We've built up quite a big lead now, and just to bottle it now would be a bit silly, to be fair, especially given our pace and that Vettel Racer isn't really matching the H Eagle, as I am Sean in terms of points, with no disrespect to him, but yeah.
Well, congratulations on a solid second place. We've got H Eagle, who's now joined us.
For getting the fastest lap today. Good effort, mate.
Well, skip Big Friend, and we'll come back to you because the H Eagle has joined us, the championship leader, 5 points ahead of Sean, who wasn't here this week after his, let's call it the naughty boy card, and getting a race after some incidents, especially with one. We'll start with so H Eagle, congratulations, a pretty flawless Grand Prix. Didn't have much to do, in fact, but you still drove very maturely, and a great performance.
Yeah, thank you. It was a very difficult race indeed. Because after a very close qualifying, I think it was the closest qualifying I've ever been part of. I think 2 tenths separated the top 10. So it was very lucky to be P3 with that time. But after the first few laps, of course, it was just to get no penalties and drove home. But the first few laps were very difficult.
Well, knowing the fact that Sean wouldn't be here, what was your target? Was you just hoping to pick up as many points as possible to put pressure on him, or was you, really aiming for that win tonight?
I was aiming for that win because I can confirm that I will miss 2 races, the Japanese and the American Grand Prix. So it was very, very important for me today to close the gap to Sean. And yeah, Hungary is a track I really like, so yeah, I was aimed for that win.
We've got to talk about Sean, of course, the fact that he wasn't able to attend this race. It has been made aware that he's not far away from being blacklisted completely. How much would you prefer to beat him fair and square on track rather than him being kicked out due to craft?
Yeah, of course, I want to beat him on track and not on the green table, I think we say that. Yeah, of course, I want to win on track in Abu Dhabi. That would be very, very cool. But yeah, as I said, I will miss 2 races, so I just hope to score more points in the next few races to extend that gap if possible. And we will see what happens next.
On a pretty flawless drive there, getting yourself 25 points in the championship lead. We finish off with Big Parenta, getting yourself 3rd place. It was tight, and there was a few people who were going to be unable to do it because of the battles with Nico and Ruben and then Casper at the end, but you got yourself into 3rd place, and it was a pretty well-deserved podium. Well, we got to ask about your goals for 2019. Obviously, it's early doors, of course. Picking up a podium is kind of a new outlook for you. You've gone from wasn't your most consistent, but now this year you've started off quite well. You're getting them good solid points, and maybe putting you in the hat for maybe not this season, but definitely for next season, maybe. Well, yeah, it was a good point. Good haul of points, really, for your, not for the team. Obviously, tactician finishing would have been a bit more handy. But I've got to ask you, constructors-wise, what position, who are your rivals in that sense? Who do you really want to finish of what you can get? Well, I wish you the very best of luck with that. Everyone loves a dreamer in that regard, and well, let's hope you can maybe have a bit of a push, especially heading into the next round, which is going to be a tough one and a classic. We're going to see some good battles. I think it might be tough for Tactician on the pad runner down at Spa, so that's going to be an interesting one. Andy, I dare say you've been crunching the numbers, so let us know on the championship. I think one specific German might already know the championship standings, but could you run us through them quickly?
Absolutely, I have been in the background doing the number crunching, and as mentioned at the end of the race there, we knew it already, the H-Eagle takes the championship lead. He's now 5 points clear of Sean, so that's a change in the championship lead. At one point, Sean had a 50-point lead, so due to obviously some incidents and obviously having to miss tonight due to a race ban, that lead has now been whittled away, and now the H-Eagle has a 5-point lead. Tactician is still in third place on 116 points, but Casper is now tied with him on 116. So technically Casper would jump to third because he's got a race victory if you're doing it on a countback. Dawidos there with that second place. He's jumped 2 places. He jumps ahead of both Spider and Lee Findlay up into 5th place, 106 points. Spider still got 100 points held by his 2 race victories at Monaco and at Paul Ricard. And Lee Findlay is only 4 points back on 96, but drops down a place due to the Ferrari driver jumping up. The Constructors is still exactly as it was in terms of standings. Ferrari still lead 259, but Sauber have gained a few points here tonight. They're now on 205. Red Bull in third place, 173 points, 20 clear of McLaren on 153, who are 20 clear of Toro Rosso, who are in 5th place on 133. So it's getting pretty tight all over, and it's certainly at the top of the standings now with the H-Eagle in the lead. It'll be interesting next week when we go to the Classic, the longest track on the calendar, Spa-Francorchamps, for the Belgium Grand Prix. Sean will obviously be back for that. Can he bounce back and get a race victory to take back the lead in the championship, or will the H-Eagle, knowing that he's obviously got these couple of races he's just mentioned there that it's going coming up later on he's going to miss, can he take the momentum forward to try and increase that lead so that it doesn't come into effect later on? We shall see him be back next week, 8 PM one more time next Sunday night. But that is it for the coverage of F2 League here on AOR for this evening's Hungarian Grand Prix. My thanks to everybody who has been watching the stream. I think I've seen us at nearly 40 viewers at one point as well, which was absolutely brilliant to see. And to those in the chat as well, tried to keep up with it, but there was just so much going on, I just couldn't get to every single comment, but we do really appreciate it. But for myself, Andy, for Ollie, for all the drivers and for everyone associated with AOR, thank you very much for watching. We hope to see you next week for the Belgium Grand Prix. But until then, we'll see you again soon. Ta-ra.